But let's talk about, Alice Walker wrote a book called Hard Times Require Furious Dancing. And from that book, I wanted to share with you some thoughts. She says, I have learned to dance. It isn't that I didn't know how to dance before. Everyone in my community knew how to dance, even those with several left feet. I just didn't know how basic it is for maintaining balance. That Africans are always dancing in their ceremonies and rituals, it shows an awareness of this. Wishing to honor the role of dance in the healing of families, communities, and nations, I hired a local hall and a local band and invited friends and family from near and far to come together on Thanksgiving, to dance our sorrows away, or at least to integrate them more smoothly into our daily existence. The next generation of my family, mourning the recent death of a mother, my sister-in-law, created a spirited line dance that assured me that though we have all encountered our share of grief and troubles, we can still hold the line of beauty, form, and beat. No small accomplishment in a world as challenging as this one. Hard times require furious dancing. Each of us is proof. The thing that really struck me is we can still hold the line of beauty and form, right? That hard times require our practice to bring us back to beauty and harmony and why we fight, why we care about justice, why we are enacting service or we have cash assistance programs. Like all of those things are really critical, but we can forget why we do any of it because it just feels hard. Right? Or we feel so up against it that we can get into hyper-focusing on fixing what is broken, and we forget why we're bothering. And so these hard times requiring furious dancing reminds us that in order to be enlivened to meet the task at hand, we have to be reminded of why we fight, why we serve. Right? And it's because beauty. It is because joy. It is because connection and belonging and togetherness and the aliveness that becomes possible in our bodies when we dance is an incredible spiritual practice. Because our joy, which is our theme this month, our joy isn't just medicine for these times. Our joy is an expression of divinity. And if we don't furiously dance in these hard times, we forget that we are divine, that this thing called life is the life of God itself. And we can get wildly distracted by the suffering and the pain and forget why we are here with breath in our bodies, to be the expression of God, right? We are the aliveness of the Holy Blessed One. That is why we are here, is to consciously express that truth through our own lives, through our own living, through our breaths, through our expressions, through our creativity. And so in times like these, when systems of oppression would rather you forget your aliveness, it is critical to hold the line of beauty. Hold the line of connection and belonging. Hold the line of our own aliveness. Hold the line of love that we are the expressions of. And I'm so reminded of that in this time of just profound grief and loss, right? In my own life personally, but just in all of our lives. No one is being missed by grief right now. But I am reminded about my aliveness in this privilege of breath in my body as a divine emanation. Every time I gather with somebody in loss, every time I meet new friends and come together in community in preparing for the death of someone, every time I go in for a hug at a memorial, which has been happening a lot lately, And I am met with the sorrow and the gratitude that I get to participate in community in these moments of deep, deep grief. And that it's one of the privileges of our aliveness is that we get to grieve together. That we get to come together at the loss of a beloved, at the loss of a way of life, at the loss of a belief, at the loss of our understanding how the world works, right? We're losing a lot of things right now. But the beauty of our connection with one another, to be able to grieve together. And because we grieve together, my experience has been I'm filled with gratitude. I'm filled with gratitude because the only reason we suffer is because we love each other. The only reason heartbreak is heartbreaking is because we care. And so that can, if we let it, bring us back to what is true in our divinity. Bring us back to what is true is that love has always been the ground of it all. We would not be upset if we did not care, right? We would not be in sorrow and grief and disappointment and all of the ways we might be feeling right now if we did not love. So I wanted to share Ross Gay, who wrote this incredible book, if you've not read it, called The Book of Delights, said recently, or maybe not super recently, but they replayed recently on Being, on Krista Tippett's podcast on Being. And he said, I often think the gap in our working for justice is that we forget to advocate for what we love, for what we find beautiful and necessary. We are good at fighting, but imagining and holding in one's imagination what is wonderful and to be adored and preserved and exalted. This is harder for us, it seems. To hold in one's imagination what is wonderful, what is to be adored, and what is to be preserved. And for those of you who practice metaphysics, doesn't that sound like affirmative prayer? To hold in one's imagination what is to be adored, what is wonderful, and what needs to be preserved. It is the whole purpose of justice. Cornel West said, justice is what love looks like in public. What love looks like in public. So if we are out here drowning in our own disappointment, drowning in our own anxiety and fear for the future, we have forgotten to be the place where justice is possible. Because we have to be the ones who hold the line for beauty, who hold the line for adoration, and what needs to be preserved. My anxiety is not the thing that needs to be preserved. My remembrance that God breathed each and every one of us into existence to be on this planet together in this time, on purpose, with a divine purpose. To be the way that love shows up. That is our whole job. So may we today dance furiously so we can remember what our job is. So that we can hold the line of beauty and wonder and adoration and remember what it is we are here to preserve. Yes?